Okay. Yeah, I'm Vic Nicholls and this is Sandra, my wife. I was born and brought up in Hockley, just about a mile outside the city centre of Birmingham. We were a working class family. My dad, he was born and brought up in Summer Lane, which back then in the 20s and 30s was quite a rough area. But Dad was really, really smart. He was clean and he was the oldest of the family. And he was really, as I say, a gentleman. But he got into company which, in a short time, he was a very heavy drinker. And like all the people down in Hockley, from where I came from, my mates, all our dads and mums, well the dads in particular, they would come home from work, have the tea, go straight to the pub, and every night really was the pub, and Dad was the same. Mum was a hard worker. There was 7 children. There was Mum, Dad, and 7 of us. We had a very small house, and it wasn't unusual really. We lived down an entry, and the house had 2 small rooms downstairs and 2 bedrooms upstairs, so there was 7 children, and Mum and Dad, so there was 9 of us, and sleeping was absolutely marvellous. Got my 2 oldest brothers. They slept in one bed, tucked up on one side of the room, and my 4 sisters, they were cramped in 2 other beds, and of course there was 2 to a bed. I was lucky. I had a folding chair, and I slept with our Mum and Dad in their bedroom. I was stuck up the corner, and I don't think I had a bed until I was age 11 actually, but we wasn't hard done by. Really, although we hadn't got a lot of money, well Mum and Dad hadn't got a lot of money, Dad always made sure that the money was brought home to pay the rent and the food, and then he had his money just to have a bet on the horses and the pub. And really Dad, he was a labouring man. He was a storeman. He didn't do a professional job, although he was quite a clever fella. But like a lot of the people of his age and generation, been through the war. He worked down in London. He worked on the roofs, repaired roofs. They couldn't go in the forces. He got ill health. But Dad died when he was 45. In 1963. I was 14, and just taking my exams actually. And as Dad died, about a couple of weeks before, he'd got me an interview at the place where he worked at Morris Commercial down in Boards Green, and I had the job. I got the job actually. My first job was apprentice, and I was a draftsman. But although I was a draftsman, I didn't go straight in the drawing office. You go straight into the tool room, and then you start going around the factory. But I would change my job every 6 months. I mean, I just couldn't settle. At the age of 17, I joined the army, and I really liked the army. Did well, but became very ill in the army, and through circumstances came out of the army, and then went straight into the tool room, being a tool maker, and within a couple of years I was back in the drawing office, and since then I always worked in the drawing office. And that's how it is. We live now in Quinton. We have 3 children, all grown up and married, and this is Sandra, my wife. You say, Sam, where was you born?
I was born in Brighton.
Talk to the camera.
I was born in Brighton, then my mum and dad moved to Birmingham. My dad was from Birmingham, but my mum was from Brighton. And
your mum was blind?
Yes, she was blind, yeah. And what to say, really?
So there was you were the eldest,
yeah.
Pam, your sister,
yeah.
and Mark.
Yeah.
But in your family you got a major genetic problem where
Yeah.
they had they were born really with cancer in the eyes,
Yeah.
and the girls had it bad, but the boys had it very bad. And Sandra and Pam, her sister, when they were very little, they had radium seeds in their eyes. It was sort of revolutionary then to delay the cancer. But Mark, the youngest lad, when he was 4, he had to have his, well, eventually by the age he was 4, he'd had his 2 eyes removed. And the dad, well, the mum died then. She died of cancer, and she was only 33 when she died. They were living in Ladywood at the time, and although it wasn't diagnosed, really what did happen is that her dad had a nervous breakdown. But they'd moved up to Quinton then, because Ladywood was pulled down. And so those people of Ladywood who lived in the area, a lot of them came up here into Quinton. But the dad couldn't manage, so his two brothers came and moved in the house, and between her dad and her two uncles, they brought the family up. Mark, who blind of course, he went to boarding school, to blind school. Sandra and Pam went to school in Ladywood, and then Sandra worked first of all in an office, but then she went into the works, and she went to work but didn't go to work a lot. She was more absent than what she was working. When we were saving to get married, I used to go to meet her from work and she wasn't there another day off. And so really we were saving to get married, but I saved the money and tried to get her to work, but she, more often than not, it was more at home than at work. But anyway, eventually we got married. We were young when we got married, and had Paul, our oldest, when we were
I was 20.
20. I was just nearly 20, and then we had twin boys, and then we had a girl, Rachel. One of the twin boys, he was born with the genetic defect that was in the family, Michael. But from then on, I suppose that's just how it is, and we've been in the house now 30 odd years. So that's who we are. And what we do. Oh, Sandra works as a care assistant here in the home.
18 years.
And I work in the drawing office, like I said previously, and we're growing old disgracefully. That's how it is.